Are we up? Are we running?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you haven't done your finger thing. How do I know?
Oh,
All right.
I'm so sorry.
That's good. So, question from a reader, I guess. Classical conditioning, operant conditioning, where they go in martial arts, where the advantages, where the disadvantages. So, setting it up so everyone's using the same language. Classical conditioning, this is a Pavlovian conditioning. And God, freaking long time ago, Russian psychologist named Pavlov, hence the name Pavlovian conditioning, would ring a bell before he fed his dogs. And then he found out that when the dogs heard a bell, they would salivate. That's classical conditioning. You have an unrelated stimulus that you get tied to the real stimulus, and it has a real effect. So within the question, I'm trying to think of in martial arts, you know, it's the responding to the count instead of responding to the stimulus. And there's a little bit of crossover here. So I'm going to talk about the operant conditioning, which I think is more common. Operant conditioning is stimulus, response, reward. It's something happens, you respond to it, and things either get better or get worse. Reward or punishment, reinforcement or punishment. We have to be, I want to be really, really clear on the language, because you hear people talking about negative reinforcement when they mean punishment, and they are not the same thing. And positive punishment is not reward. Positive punishment is, in this sense, positive is adding something to the system, negative is removing something to the system. When you take away your kids' video games, that is negative punishment. When you spank your kids, that's positive punishment. You're adding something to the system. In the reward system, telling people good job, giving a puppy a treat, positive rewards. Saying you did so good, you can take a day off from chores. Everyone that gets an A on the test doesn't have to do homework next week, are negative rewards, rewards through absence. One of the things with self-defense, and especially intuition, is it's frequently negatively rewarded, and that's the weakest. So if you go, I'm not going through that dark alley and nothing bad happens, your brain's not sure whether your actions caused the nothing bad to happen. So it's the weakest of the training paradigms. Okay, so getting back into it. In martial arts, one of the things we do, we've been trying not to, is we tend to punish or reward irrelevant stuff. Fighting is incredibly kinesthetic. If someone is rewarding or punishing you based on your form, how it looked, then it's usually not relevant. And you start worrying more about how you looked and whether you can knock someone down. When someone does a technique, or they modify a technique to make it work for their body type, and it works better, and they get told, that's not how we do it here, they're actually being punished for being successful. And that's one of the most dangerous things you can do, is to punish your students for success. You're trying to make them stronger, better, tougher. That also means more adaptable. And a lot of the time that's going to mean doing things differently than you do. And they should be rewarded for that, not punished, because that's what we're trying to encourage. The most egregious bad one is punishing people first. I said for success already, but we've all seen the schools where someone tags the instructor and the instructor makes an example of them. And so in that one instance, you take 10 years training someone to be a winner, and you punish them for winning, and you have created a loser. Their hindbrain has learned that winning is more dangerous than losing. So within the operant conditioning, you always want to be sure what you're punishing and what you're rewarding are what you actually want to reward and punish. You punish to decrease behaviors, you reward to increase behaviors. And it's one of those, success should never be punished if you want to create successful people. So going back to the classical conditioning, and this is just straight up, look at your students, and are they more worried about getting hit or not hitting someone than they are about sensei yelling at them? If how sensei yells, and that's where the crossover is operant conditioning, because that's a punishment. But if sensei's response is an irrelevant stimuli largely to what happened or didn't happen, if your instructor's response is out of sync with what happened, if you knock someone down and, oh, you did that wrong, your instructor's fucked it up, basically. And if that's continuous, that's a toxic environment. And if you want to be a successful person, you get out of it. If you get punished for success, you have to leave, because that is not a place where you grow.